him, myself, two agents, and a transaction coordinator. We closed $30 million that first year.
That's
And,
amazing.
but overall, I mean, the Houston real estate market has, had an upper hand over a lot of areas in the US. Write those things down and circle back to it and be like, okay, this is where we fell short this last time, or this is what we learned from this experience.
What advice would you give someone that's like looking to grow their business to your magnitude? Welcome to STC Chats. I'm Nicholas Amato, a full-time realtor on Long Island. I'm also an entrepreneur, a husband, and a father. In this podcast, we're going to be chatting with top professionals, influencers, and entrepreneurs to uncover what true success is. The journey, the mindset, and living life on your terms. So whether you are seeking your own version of success or looking for motivation and inspiration, join the conversation. Today on STC Chats, we're joined by real estate broker owner Nicole Freer from Corcoran Genesis, a standout in real estate whose journey began in 2013. In her first 2 years alone, she sold nearly 70 homes, quickly rising to top producer status. She and her husband, Doug, went on to launch the Nicole Freer Group, now the number 2 real estate team in Houston Metro, selling 1,166 homes and $448 million in volume in 2024. Nicole has closed over $1 billion in sales and is the number 1 selling female agent in Houston, as well as NAHREP's number 1 Latino agent in the nation. She's been featured in Bloomberg, spoken on national stages, and was named a top 10 all-around video influencer by Tom Ferry. Nicole has a proven track record of coaching agents into multi-million-dollar producers. A childhood cancer survivor, Nicole co-founded the Nicole Freer Foundation to support families in need and fund scholarships for low-income students. A native Houstonian, she lives in Cady with Doug, her husband, for over 25 years. They have 2 adult children and a granddaughter, and a legacy that keeps growing. Welcome.
Thank you. That was so perfect. You nailed it. Except I got to correct you.
I
It's
was going to
Katie.
say, it's
It's
Kate.
Katie.
I was going to ask you, so it's
Yeah.
Katie. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You did great though. Everything else was wonderful.
Thanks. Thanks. I
Yeah.
pretty much, you do
Um,
your research and you did all the work. I just read it.
Thank
So,
you for having me here. I'm glad to be here with you.
of course, of course. So, I guess we're just going to start off on like, how did you get started in selling homes?
My husband made me do it.
Really?
Yeah, he did. So, it was back in 08, 09, he had his own business and he was brokering business loans. So, prior to that, he had worked for Chase Bank and done really well there in business banking and left there, started his own business. And he was helping businesses raise capital, equipment loans, based on all his relationships that he had made with different banks and lending sources. But when the market crashed, he started getting a whole new set of phone calls, people who were looking to raise money to buy and flip homes. And after he had fielded quite a few of these calls and successfully got these people money, he's like, I have access to what all these people are calling me for. I need to look more into this. And so he did. He went out and he bought his first flip and had it sold before it even hit the market. It was so easy. Of course, it's never been that easy since. It was kind of like the little trick pony to get you into the show. But after he had flipped about, 15 homes over the course of a few years, at that time, he was just Googling like top real estate agent in whatever area his flip was in, and they were listing it at 6%. And he's like, okay, this is working out really well, but I feel like there's a way to make more money in this business. Nicole, would you consider going out and getting your real estate license so that we can keep that listing commission in-house? At the time, I was at home raising the kids. And so I was like, yeah, sure, that seems easy enough. And so I went to get my real estate license with the sole intention of listing his flip properties. But God obviously had other plans because he very quickly turned into a secondary client for me. I was just getting a ton of outreach from friends, family, sphere. And after 2 years in the business and closing, 70 deals, it was just a lot. And I was like, there's no way that this is sustainable. I was sending out emails at 2 o'clock in the morning and I was like, this is not what I signed up for. So I went to Doug and I was like, look, I'm going to have to start turning some of this business away because I can't do all of it. I was handling all my transactions.
Right.
I wasn't outsourcing anything. And so he's like, well, that would be crazy. We're not going to turn the business away. I'll leave my business, get my real estate license, and we'll start a real estate team. And I was like, that sounds horrible. What's plan B? At that point, I had never had any, I hadn't gone to college. I hadn't had any experience managing people. It sounded like, babysitting grown-ups. I'm very much so like, I like to work like this with blinders on and
Right.
just do my own thing. It's a lot easier when you're just, having to be accountable and manage your own stuff. But Doug won that fight, his first and last. But I'm so glad he did because it completely changed the course of our lives.
Right.
After he joined me that first year as a team, it was him, myself, two agents, and a transaction coordinator. We closed $30 million that first year.
That's
And
amazing.
the trajectory and growth in our business those first few years were insane. We went year over year. It was 60, I'm sorry, 30, 60, 90, 120. And I knew that there was a special blessing on this business that we were doing because nobody sees growth like that
Right.
in business. And very quickly I was having real estate agents that have been in our industry for 20, 30 years come up to me at realtor events. They're like, who are you? Like, I have got to meet you. I've seen your name
Agitated,
everywhere now.
probably.
Like, where did you come from? Well, yeah, they were
What,
most
what, I don't think you answered that. What were you doing, before though?
so
Doug convinced you, but what were you doing like right beforehand?
like right before then I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
Our
Which
kids
is,
were kind of going through a rough patch at school, but prior to that I had done like executive assistant. I did some space leasing for an executive suite office, but I was still trying to figure out like what I wanted to be when I grew up.
right.
Yeah, I never would have guessed a real estate broker, that's for sure.
Same, same. So these numbers that I just said, like, this was in 2024, 1,166 homes and 448 million in volume in 2024 alone.
Yeah,
Is that
a lot.
now, is that your team or is that your like, cause you're a broker owner, or is the broker owner your team? Is it
Correct. Good question. Yeah, because a lot of people, especially within our immediate marketplace, have become familiar with the Nicole Freer Group as a real estate team.
right?
And so, now that I'm a broker owner of Corcoran Genesis, they're having to learn that, okay, I've moved my team, which used to be at an independent brokerage, a team
Right.
office. I've moved them underneath the umbrella of Corcoran Genesis, which my husband own and operate. But we
Right.
also we also manage our real estate team. But underneath our Corcoran Genesis umbrella, we also have individual real estate agents, other real estate
Right.
teams. But the numbers that you quoted, that is just for our team, the Nicole Freer
Which,
Group.
to be honest with you, I feel like even if that was like the whole brokerage office, those are massive numbers,
Well,
right?
and I think that they're huge numbers, and
Right.
that's actually I think what prompted Corcoran to contact us back in December 22 is because you know they don't do startups; they partner with independent brokerages, and so they came to us. Corcoran came to us in December 22, thinking that we were a full-fledged
Right.
independent brokerage, not knowing that we were just a team.
Right.
And so, yeah, our team is comprised of myself and Doug, and then we fluctuate, but it's always right about like 8 to 10 other agents. And so we run lean and mean.
Right.
We have, a small group of higher producing agents rather than like a really big team. And that was something that I set from the beginning for myself. I didn't have, as I said, a background in business or management or anything like that. But I was smart enough to know that less is more. And if I could do this successfully with as few people as
Right.
possible, it was going to be a lot easier to manage. And it has been. And so that's how we've always managed our real estate team. And it's actually also how we are growing Corcoran Genesis, the brokerage now. And that is quality over quantity.
Right.
which is very different than today's brokerage models. You see a lot of these brokerages just bringing in agents by the hundreds.
Right.
And the goal is to like just collect that monthly fee to be able to support,
Right.
financially the brokerage. We're the complete opposite. And so it's funny to have these conversations with agents in our marketplace. And they're like, wait, what is it that you're doing? But when they hear it, it makes all the sense in the world. So like having a minimum threshold that agents have to be producing to come on board at the brokerage. Having agents who are growth mindset, who are in that stage of growth, and want to grow and do more, who want to learn how to put processes and procedures and strategies into place that work for their business so they're not having to work in their business. Taking a lot of the things that I learned in the industry as I was starting out and my business was growing so quickly. I mean, we laugh about it today because my name's on the team, but my business, my day-to-day business today is more from like an ownership managerial
Right.
position. The joke is I haven't sold a house in like 5 years.
Right. Well, yeah, I wanted to go into that. So there's like two, it sounds like you have two kind of two roles, right? You have the team lead or, managing the team and then managing the brokerage. I have a ton of questions on the team. We'll try to get some of them. The team
Yeah.
members now, what do you have them typically as? Like, is it set up where it's like, okay, transaction coordinator, buyer's agent, listing agent, or it's kind of like they each have their own business and there's no like specific role for each one?
B. So, and I drew from my experience on a team. The first year that I was in real estate, I was on a team. And after that first year, I closed 20 deals and just felt at that time I had learned everything that I could from being on that team. And there really wasn't any room for me to grow because at that team, I was a buyer's agent and
Right.
I couldn't bring in listings. If I did, it was a referral fee. And I'm like, well, man, that really doesn't give me opportunity to grow because I'm having so many listing opportunities.
Right.
And so when I started a team, it was like, help buyers, help sellers. Like I want to focus on building a brand that agents can leverage and build their own business, leveraging the success that I've had and the
Right.
success that my brand has had. And so we do have a transaction team
Right.
that they solely focus on transactions. It's four full-time
Wow.
licensed transaction coordinators. And again, this is something that worked really well for our real estate team that we copied and pasted to the brokerage, Corcoran Genesis. So all the agents at our office have a full service transaction coordinating team that services them 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And
at no
then
cost to them.
and then each agent is so you have like you have I mean obviously it's kind of like a turnover with teams, it's just which is very common, but you're averaging around 8 to 10, which is that's a decent sized team, but even with those numbers, they're pretty slammed with doing deals. What's the average price point? Um
Uh, Average price point, I would say probably 475.
right.
Yeah. It's it's been creeping up higher
Right.
recently. Obviously, as home prices are increasing and our markets are increasing, and especially here recently, what last week with our acquisition of the Corcoran office in the Woodlands.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw that,
I
but
did, and congratulations.
thank you very much. So, Doug and I have our brick and mortar Corcoran Genesis office in Katy that we've had. Well, we've had the actual building there for about 7 years now. But we now have acquired the Corcoran Ferrister office in the Woodlands,
Right.
and so now that office is Corcoran Genesis, and Beth Ferrister and her team will continue to run their business underneath the Corcoran Genesis umbrella there. So we are ecstatic about just being established now or going into that Woodlands marketplace.
So you're still just even though the volume and the business you're doing, you're just still constantly growing, it seems. How would you like what advice would you give someone that's like looking to grow their business to your magnitude? If you would, I mean, there's so many options, right? But what would what is one thing that comes to mind when I ask that question?
So for me, the first thing and like the no, like it requires very little work of you. It's not actually like sweat equity. You align yourself with people, surround yourself with people who are doing the type of business that you aspire to do. That real estate team that I was on my first year was an amazing experience for me. I actually got partnered up with her because she was listing one of my husband Doug's flip houses at the time.
Right.
And so when Doug was like, get your real estate license, she was listing this house and she was like, yeah, come join my team. You're pretty. You'll do great in real estate. Found out later it took a little more than good looks. But so I joined her team. But at the time, she was the number one team at our brokerage. And our brokerage was the number one brokerage in Fort Bend County at that
Right.
time. So in retrospect, I had such an amazing opportunity to be surrounded by people who were like moving and shaking and
Right.
doing deals left and right. When I was around her, I remember like whenever we would go grab a drink at the end of the day or go to lunch or whatever, she's always on her phone, and she's always like, like when you have, you're just in the middle of
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, I want that. Like
Yeah.
that is cool. I want that. And I was surrounded by her friends who were other top producers. And you have to, and it was very uncomfortable for me. Like I was getting like whatever was on happy hour well drinks, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was nowhere near their level. I wasn't rolling up in the nice cars. But I was around it, and it had such an influence on me at that time. But it was uncomfortable, and I think it's very easy when you get into an industry that you're not comfortable with to look for people who are just as uncomfortable as you and be like, okay, guys, we got to stick
All
together. We're all uncomfortable and we don't know what we're
right.
doing. Well, you're gonna end up being that way for a very long time
Right.
because a group of you guys not knowing what you're doing and being uncomfortable in an industry is not going to get you anywhere. You have to surround yourself with the people that are doing the business that you want to be doing.
It's also you got to kind of like find the people that are willing to share too, right? That's part of it.
1000%.
That's like a big,
Yeah.
which I feel like real estate, I've been doing this for like 13 years. It's kind of evolved into that too. Well, I think social media has a big part about it, like collaborating and stuff. Um, yeah, it's how do you still do flips? Like this is because I mean I feel like it was like it to me like kind of like evolved, right? You're probably so busy. Doug's probably very busy too with all this stuff. So are you still doing flips or you're kind of just handling strictly business now, selling
Yeah.
transactions and growing?
I keep Doug extremely busy. So, I mean, there's opportunities here or there that come across the table. I would say more often now recently, opportunities come by way of our relationship with new construction home builders.
Right.
So we have a lot of programs to help our new construction partners sell more homes. And one of those is like the guaranteed home buyout, where we'll go ahead and list their home for a certain price, put it on the market, but if it doesn't sell within this amount of time, then we buy it. Or some are like, you know what,
Yeah.
I don't even want to put it on the market, just I want to sell it. And
Right.
so there's been some opportunities that way for us, which is great for us to kind of continue to do that and keep
Right.
our relationships with our general contractors and stuff like that, but also just to help our new construction salespeople sell more homes.
What what areas are you typically servicing?
So a lot of agents like to say like, "Oh, I sell everywhere."
Right. Well, Texas is
You know,
huge, so
it's it's so big. But I would say we really are hyper focused on the west side of Houston, around the Katy area. But then also, we have grown to a point to where I can confidently say like we kind of are everywhere in the Houston
right.
metro. And a big part of that has been through our builder partnerships. Uh, I exclusively list for KB Homes in the Houston area. I'm also a listing agent for Long Lake, Meritage, Saratoga. There's a few different builders that utilize our platform, and me as their listing agent. So because of that, and because they are in different parts throughout the Houston metro area, when they have customers who come in who need to sell their home, then that puts yard signs in their areas. So if you look at a heat map of the Houston metro area, you truly will see that we have grown and we have spread out throughout the area.
Do do you still go on the listing appointments? Or
No,
it's no, it's like more like on the phone and you're just kind of the wizard, behind it.
no, it's C, it's Doug.
Oh, yeah, really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. See, Doug thought he was getting me into this business, and I got him into this business.
Um,
No, so like the makeup of that would be, so I would say probably year two or three of us being a team, we started to get really listing heavy. And at that time, it would kind of be like Doug and I going on listing appointments together. And then slowly he was just going on them by himself. But then after the listing appointment, he would be still the seller's go to throughout the process.
right.
And it got to a point to where we just continued to grow. And I said, Doug, you can't continue to be the point of contact for all of our sellers moving forward. Like we need to start, and this was a huge part of the growth of our business, is learning how to leverage people. Which leveraging people is not a bad thing.
Right.
Leveraging people is what it looks like is it's giving these agents who are coming onto our team who haven't had the
Yeah. Which is what
experience.
they want too.
Exactly. They want to learn, right? And so one of the hardest things to get as a new agent is listings, and
Right.
you don't learn how to work with sellers. And so I told Doug, I said, we're going to start, incentivizing our agents to manage these listings for us. Now, Doug loves going on the listing appointments. He loves winning listings. And
Right.
so he still goes on the listing appointment. And then once he wins it, essentially we co-list with one of the agents on our team, and that agent is their point of contact from there till close. But Doug is always there. I mean, sellers will reach out to them if they have a specific question, or the agent who's managing will come to
Yeah.
Doug if they need something. Our transaction team, they are a point of contact a lot of times for our agents too for questions. So it really is a team effort.
So it's funny. I usually don't ask like strategies. Like I like to like talk about the agent, the business, but I have to ask because the amount of volume you're doing. What how do you get that? Like how do you get those listing? Like how did you grow to that level? Like I know how you kind of manage it, but how are you getting all these listing appointments and stuff? Is there like a specific strategy you use, or is it just old school, like door knocking and cold calling, or what is it?
I would boil it down to two major things that really benefited us as we were growing and just started to get the phone to ring very quickly for listing appointments. Number one is, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is being super hyper focused in a certain area. Now I know that we do business throughout the whole Houston area, right? And I'm not going to turn business away. However, when you ask an agent, where do you specialize in?
Right.
You really need to dial it down to an area that you're super hyper focused on farming. Because the point there is to, if you can get a small group of people to see you
Right.
consistently, you're going to start like some really crazy momentum in that area very quickly. So, for example, when I first got my real estate license, at the same time we had just moved into this new neighborhood. It was called Firethorn. And so I move in this new neighborhood. I just get my real estate license. And I notice at the time, like there's only maybe one guy who you would say is that area, specialist. Now I have, even a better way to find out number wise, looking at turnover rate and potential ROI on commissions that can help an agent even better find a farm area. But at that time, I didn't even know how to run those
Right.
numbers. I'm just going based off of like my perspective as a consumer who just bought a home. So I'm like, and it's right here, it's in my backyard. It makes sense. I'm going to farm Firethorn. And so I got involved. I joined the events committee and I participated in throwing the parties in the community. And not only that, I volunteered to help sponsor. And like one of them was a neighborhood adults wine night. And so I offered to get the wine tumblers and I put my name on
Right.
there and my contact information. Um, I once I got my first listing in Firethorn, I did an open house in that listing every single weekend with 20 plus open house signs branded with my information
Right.
every single weekend until that home sold. And I had my signs out every single weekend. And I promise this is crazy. Like within, I would say within 6 months, my phone started ringing and residences in Firethorn were saying, I want you to sell my home. I've been seeing your signs for years.
Right.
Now I wasn't going to correct him, right?
Right.
But it had been
It's
literally it had been
constant
less
touch
than a
points.
year. Exactly. But you're not able to saturate like people's minds with your brand if you're jumping all over the place. And so really just that was a huge part of our quick growth because very quickly within the first year, like the residences started calling it Freer Thorn instead of Firethorn. But here's the thing, like as you grow, you can continue to grow your business outward, right? Because outside of Firethorn, there's Cinco Ranch, there's Katy. And so we just kind of grew like this. Now, today, what, not 8, 9 years later, do you think I'm still the number one agent in Firethorn? No. But we grew. Like now we're
Right.
in so many different places, right? To where it's not necessarily just in that one area. But I had that market on
Yeah. And as
lockdown for years.
as that becomes like the money comes in, the commissions come in, you could grow the business off of that and expand the place you're farming. So you didn't,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's almost like there's no secret, right? It's just hard work, but kind of just staying focused and disciplined and making yourself present.
The
So
consistency is the hardest part, the
right, it
consistency.
is.
Yeah.
It is. So what's the market by you right now? Like what's has it shifted or because by me it has shifted, in Long Island, New York. So what are you seeing by you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listings are sitting longer. They're taking longer to sell. Um, you know, Now is not the time to be aggressive with pricing because it's, you know,
Right.
hard enough, to get things under contract. But overall, I mean, the Houston real estate market has, had an upper hand over a lot of areas in the US,
Right.
because like, when you look at affordability, it is still very affordable. When you look at just the amount of people that relocate in and out of the Houston area, it's insane, and it's not, like in the '80s where it was just oil and gas. I mean, you have oil and gas, you have medical, you have education. You have like these big Fortune 500 companies that are coming in here and buying, warehouses and establishing, business opportunities for people in this area. So it's always been kind of, while it still has its ebb and flow and up and down, for the most part, it's not as bad as
How
it could
long are you
be.
seeing it? Same thing over here. It's kind of like starting to slow. Things aren't going in like 2 days, 3 days. At one point, it was, those. I feel like those days are over for now, at least for now. But you're seeing it's takes weeks to 2 to 3 months going into
Mhm.
getting something in contract. It's no
Yep.
longer like, unless it's priced like aggressively to move quickly, it depends on the seller's tolerance, right? As far as like what to list it for. But it's that's what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing things going into contract, but it's not they're not so eager to close. Everybody's kind of like taking their time to get to the closing table. Are you experiencing that or
Yeah, a little bit. But I think you just have to make sure that you're very aware of what is going on in each specific area because I'm
Mhm.
sure just like you, each area has its different days on market
right,
and length of time for moving things. And so it's not a doom and gloom for the
right,
entire Houston metro area. You have to know the area, and we were even having this conversation, Doug and I, with one of our agents last night because she, has somebody coming to her who just terminated their listing agreement. They now want her to sell their home. And, looking at their listing, it's priced under market value. But it wasn't listed very long. Looking at, how long homes usually sit on the market in that area, you just have to have the information and be confident
right.
enough and be very open and direct in your conversation with the homeowners and letting them know what it is. Because it's such a disservice just to like keep
Right.
dropping the price. And even then, even though they dropped below market value, the home's not
Yeah.
selling. Well, because we haven't even gotten to our like average days on
The
market
days,
yet.
yeah,
You
I do
know,
that
like
every time I'm like talking like before, they're like stressing, oh, it didn't move because they hear the rumors. They're hearing something that happened, 6 months ago, or when they give you like a
mhm,
comp that sold 2 years ago, it should be listed for this. I always look at average days on the market of going
mhm.
into contract before even, and just to let them know. And that's very well, yes. So days on the market is definitely important as far as before you even entertain lowering the price. That's basically what you're saying.
For sure, yeah. And it's sad because some agents are just like, responsive to the seller when
Yeah.
they're like, should we drop it? Okay.
Yeah.
Should we drop it? Okay, let's drop it again, and then it's still not selling. So then,
Right.
it's not good for anybody.
So do you going back to the team and your office, I imagine you seem very well organized and everything like that. I mean, you have to be to do that to do what you're doing. I imagine you have like training sessions and stuff for the agents, or you're kind of, how much are you holding their hand and how much are you just kind of like giving them training sessions and then just seeing where they go and picking up the calls when they come in.
It's a little bit of everything. But first and foremost, it's been failing at a lot of things.
Right.
There's not a playbook of after you get out of real estate school, like all the things to do to grow your business in a successful way. So it's been a lot of learning experiences, a lot of learning to put processes and procedures in place as you go. But you have to like execute them. Like you can't just be like, oh man, it'd be so much easier if we did this next time. Oh, we should have done this. Well, then do it next time, right?
Right.
So, write those things down and circle back to it and be like, okay, this is where we fell short this last time, or this is what we learned from this experience. Let's not make this mistake again. What do we need to put in place so that this goes seamlessly next time, or so that we don't miss this time? Getting people and putting people in place before you need them. That's something that, Doug and I have tried to do a really good job of in our business, because once you reach that point to where you're like, oh gosh, we need somebody, then it kind of isn't as seamless as it should be, because then you get that person on board and then you don't even have the time to properly train that
Right.
person and to get them up and going. So it's always like forecasting and seeing kind of the how things are progressing and being like, okay, we need to go ahead and make that investment,
Right.
because I have a lot of salaried people on the team. So there is an investment that goes in before you're seeing that return, right? And so
Right.
investing and bringing those people on, setting them up for success, training them, putting checklists together, so that we can not just keep the business running smoothly, but once agents choose to partner with us and Corcoran Genesis, making sure that the process is seamless for them. Like, what a turnoff if you've uprooted yourself from a brokerage, you got sold something great, you
Right.
believe in it, you leave, and then you go to onboard. That lightning storm behind you is just beautiful,
Oh,
I
is
have
it?
to
I don't
say.
even
Yeah, it keeps
yeah.
anyways, but like what a turn off, for an agent to have this horrible onboarding experience, very
Right.
all over the place. And that's something that we've had raving reviews on, is our onboarding process and it just being seamless. But it's taken like learning what we need to do and not do, and putting those checklists together, where it's you don't have to remember to do something. There's an onboarding checklist, and our onboarding process for an agent is about a day and a half, but they get everything they need at that time.
Yeah.
And it's also not overwhelming, because what I didn't want them to do was like go home and be like, oh my God, that was too
Right.
much. Like I can't do this. So we also created tutorial videos hitting all those points that they, get taught or onboarded on throughout the onboarding process. So as they need to go back and reference them, they can be like, oh, how did they tell me? Where can I find this? And they go back to their tutorial videos to be able to reference.
How long have you been with like how long has it been Corcoran Genesis?
16 months.
How's it
Yeah, we're
how's it
still kind of in our
going?
baby stage. Oh, it's so great. I mean, it's going wonderful. What do you mean? We've been partnered
Yeah.
for 16 months and we just got our second office.
Yeah.
It's
I
amazing.
love Corcoran, so
I do too. I do too. Man, it was such an amazing opportunity for us to partner with Corcoran. You know, our courting phase, our dating phase with
right.
Corcoran was 14 months.
Really?
Yeah, it was a long
But were
time.
you a tough sell? Is that what you're telling me?
No, 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 not at all.
Just to see
I
if it's like
think
a right fit for both.
Yeah, and I really respected that of them. You know, I respected that they were taking their due process, that we were as well, because I'm the same way, you know, really wanting those quality people to represent their brand. And I feel like Corcoran does such a phenomenal job of doing that. And when you go to the Corcoran events,
Yeah.
you see that. You just see the quality of people. But yeah, no, and also many people don't know that, you know, one thing that set us back in our courting phase is that things were going really well. I thought we were about to like get to third base and start signing papers. And we got a call from Corcoran one day and we're like, hey, they were like, hey, you know, thank you so much for, you know, taking this journey with us. You know, we think you guys are great, but we've decided to pass on you guys. We're going to go with another brokerage.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And I was like Doug and I, Doug took that phone call and he told me about it later that day. And I think we were both so in shock that like he just told me and we didn't even talk about it. Like
Right.
we just needed a few days for it to kind of like sink in. And after I just kind of paused for a few days and just really started meditating on it, I started to feel in my gut. I'm like, this is not the end. This is not the end. But if it is
Right.
God, I'm okay with that.
Right.
But there's something, this wasn't for naught. Either God took me down this journey to learn how to trust him more, and that not everything that, you know, placed in front of me that I think is for sure is going to happen. Or God's asking me at this time, do you really trust me? Because
Right.
at that time would be like the perfect time to be like, get angry and be like,
Right.
what the hell? Like we just wasted all this time and
Right.
you know, and I don't know, I just felt in my gut that it wasn't the end. And I went to Doug and I said, look, I don't want anything that's not for me. But also at the same time, you know, I'm a big believer of like God isn't sitting, you know, outside your window just ready to hand you everything on a silver platter. My prayer is always that because I'm a doer, like, and poor Doug, because I'm always like, let's do it right now, let's go right now. So I actually have to like my prayer is always that God will close the door because I'm gonna walk through all the doors. Like if the
Right.
door's open, I'm gonna walk through it. Which is it has its like good points, right? The fact that I'm an executor and I do things, but I told Doug, I said, go back to Corcoran because they let us know that you know, one of the office that they decided to move forward with was a better fit because they were actually located in Houston.
Right.
And so that ended up being Corcoran Prestige,
Right.
which is now there. I said, go back to Corcoran and see if they would entertain partnering with us as their Corcoran suburbs office. You know,
Right.
maybe we don't make this exclusive to Katie. Maybe we could be their suburb partner because living in the suburbs in Houston is very different than living in the city. And so Doug called him and, you know, proposed this to them, and their response was astounding. Their
That's
response
great.
was, they said, you know what? Somebody actually brought that up. And as a group, we were like, no, they probably don't want to do that. And so that's why we
Right.
didn't even like offer that to you guys. But now that we know that you guys would be open to that, let me go back to the group and get back to you. And they came back to us and they were like, we love that you guys want to do this. We want you guys to be our suburb partner. And so we opened as Corcoran Genesis, Houston suburbs. And, you know, I mean, I don't think it could have worked out any more perfect. The fact that we're here today and we have already acquired the other suburb office, like now Corcoran Genesis truly is Corcoran suburbs, you know, with
Right.
the Katy and the Woodlands office. And then, of course, Houston Prestige is in town.
And it's good because now because they have both now, so the referrals is probably great. Like the relationship between you guys is probably, I mean, I'm assuming, but it's, you have contacts that they're trying to, they have someone that's looking in your area and vice versa.
Yep.
Because you have the
Yep.
same thing in like the city, Manhattan, and the Hamptons, in New York, where, there's like a direct relationship as
Hmm.
far as that. Um, so are you like where you are, is it mostly primary residence or is it like absentee and they're doing rentals? Like what's the like in that $400,000 price point?
Primary residence.
Primary residence.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got a lot going on. How do you shut this off? Like how do you, especially since you work with your husband, right? Like that's because my wife's actually getting her course now too. Because she's pretty much almost involved in every deal, like just like the whole mindset thing and just keeping me, she's a teacher and she's like, to keep me calm and stuff, but she's very involved in the day to day of just the stress, let's just say. So how do you guys shut that off?
Man, you're about to take your business to a whole new level. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. How do we shut it off? We don't. But we love what we do. Like
Right. Okay.
we love what we do, and we are so grateful and feel so honored to be a part of this industry. I mean, this industry, as I mentioned at the beginning, has been life-changing for us.
Right.
Um, we almost feel like we owe it to like pay it forward and
Right.
to continue to be so involved and to do what we do. So I don't know that we actually ever turn it off. I will say, sometimes the views get better as we, take trips that say we
Right.
wouldn't have been able to take 10 years ago, or do things that we wouldn't be able to do
Right.
with our family. We have a granddaughter now, so um
Congratulations.
thank you so much. She's 5.5, and she's when we turn it off, because let me tell you, that girl will not let you be on the phone when she is around. She's like, put your phone away. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Um, but I mean,
Are
like,
your kids in the industry too, or they're doing their own thing?
they're doing their own thing right now. Maybe one day. They're 25 and 22, so
Right.
they're still having fun. This is too much for them, so
Right.
they're just kind of like enjoying themselves, as they should. Because I didn't get into real estate until I was, gosh, how old was I? 32.
Right.
So, and it's, if you want to go all in, it's very, very what's it, it's just a lot.
Right.
So maybe one day in the future, but it's this industry and this business that we've been able to build in real estate has allowed us the opportunity to take our kids and our granddaughter to Disney World together, or
Right.
take her to New York. We flew her out to New York last year for her birthday. you
Right.
know you fly a 5.5-year-old,
Yeah.
flying first
It's a
class
great
with their
age.
little
My
headphones
son's
on.
five. My son's 5.5. It's
Oh,
such a great
there's
age.
so much fun. It is such a great age.
My
Yeah.
daughter's
But
3. She's wild. She's girls keep it interesting, let me tell you.
oh yes, yes, they do. No, but like, that's what it's all about, is being able to have those special moments with your kids and your grandkids, and have opportunities for your family and for them that, otherwise they may not have had.
Right. So you,
So
you love what you do basically, and
we
you don't
do.
feel the need to shut it off. You feel like you're, like you said, paying it forward, and
Yeah.
it's good. You got a great thing going. So what's next for you guys? What's on the any future goals, or what do you have going on?
Yeah, yeah, we got a big one. It's called, dominate the woodlands market. So,
Okay.
we've done such a great job, in Katy and on the west side. And while that will continue, we now have this opportunity acquiring the woodlands office to now get into this marketplace that, Doug and I personally don't know a ton about. And
Right.
so it's going to require a lot of work on our part, getting to be very familiar with agents. But in the meantime, sorry, getting familiar with the area. But in the meantime, we're partnering with agents already in the woodlands who
Right.
are joining Corcoran Genesis. So we rely on them. They are the area experts Um, but we have big goals, and we're very committed for every, step that we take in our business, so much so that with this acquisition, Doug and I decided to keep our house in Katy, which is zero point 0.5 miles from our office in Katy.
Right.
But in addition to that, because the drive is anywhere around an hour, could be more if traffic
Right.
gets worse. So we actually signed on a lease on a house in the Woodlands that
Right.
is like zero point 0.4 miles from the office in the Woodlands. So we'll be splitting our week in half. We'll be spending half of it in Katy and the other half in the Woodlands. So that's how committed we are to getting up and going and getting the Corcoran Genesis name known throughout the market, the community, with the consumers, and just helping agents in that area be able to partner with us and have access to our platform and the things that we learned to leverage in growing a very successful real estate business, giving them access to that and
Right.
helping them be just as successful.
For like your goals, do you is it more long term or short term? Like for me, I'm like I focus on like what I'm going to achieve at the end of the year and then like maybe down the road. Are you more like it seems like you're task oriented. So task oriented, but is it for like short term or long term goals or both?
Both, both. I think it's important to have both because while those short-term goals are really exciting, it's always about the bigger picture. That bigger
Right.
picture is like that bigger picture, I think, sustains you for all the work because those short-term goals require a lot of work. Like if you're like, okay, this is what I want to close this year, you better be willing to put in the work. Like if you're gonna, have these big numbers in mind, right?
Right.
And sometimes it can get overwhelming in the day to day when you're putting in that work day after day after day to get to that goal for the year. But if you have that big picture goal for yourself, that's what sustains you. That's what, drives you. And it's the big, pretty, picture that
Yeah.
you're working towards.
So, one last question I always ask everyone that goes on this STC Chats podcast. So, what does success mean to you?
Hmm. Success for me isn't for se- success for me isn't about me. It's about success for others that we've been able to partner with in some way or another. It's not always real estate agents.
Right.
It's people in other industries that through connections or through supporting each other's businesses, like see them like just watching their business grow, watching them, you know, grow their family or do things for their family or be able to take trips with their family that they hadn't to in the past, and not from like a pompous way, but just knowing that you had a part or you played a part in that, even if it was just like words of encouragement that
Right.
you frequently gave them or a shoulder for them to like cry on because
Right.
running a business, you'll shed some tears here and there, but having the honor to play some sort of part in somebody else's success is incredible,
Right.
and that's success for me.
Great answer. Great answer. Um, so thanks for taking the time, on this. I know you're very busy and I'm glad we were able to connect since B Corcoran. And just that's pretty much it. I mean, we went through all the questions, got everything it's thanks again for coming and it was where are you right now anyway? I don't know if I asked you that.
Here, let me show you my backyard. So, as I mentioned, working hard in this industry is about getting better views. So, that's my view
Oh
today.
wow.
This is we are on the island of Cozumel, Mexico. Doug and I have been coming to this island for almost 25 years. So like when we first came here, it was like some all-inclusive, 3 days, 4 nights at some
Right.
ridiculously low price, and food wasn't good at all. But we just fell in love with the island. And, as the years went on and we kept coming back and we brought our kids and we would vacation here with our kids. And as we started, doing better for ourselves at home, we started staying at nicer places.
Right.
And then as we got into real estate back home, it was like, man, that would be crazy if we ever were to be able to buy
The
something
dream, right?
there. Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, this is our first year here. They don't, so the island is really small. Just across the ocean, you can actually see Playa del Carmen. But the island itself is very small. And then on top of that, only about 10% of it is actually built out. The rest of the island is jungle. And they're not like in a rush to build all over the island, which is nice. So new construction opportunities are very rare on the island. And one year we were here and we saw a sign for new condos going up. And I told Doug, I was like, we are not leaving this vacation without signing a contract because
It's so
I'm
exciting.
an executor. And
Yeah.
Doug's like, whoa, 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 we'll see. And sure enough, we were here, we vacationed for 2 weeks, and before we left, we signed a contract
He's very
to
analytical, huh?
build. Oh yeah, he's the numbers guy. So I'm glad you didn't ask me like a lot of numbers
Yeah.
questions because then I was gonna have to call him out of
Well,
his
I
room at
remember
some.
when I was waiting to hear. I didn't hear it though this time when I first met you. You were like, "Oh, that's a Doug question. That's a Doug question." So, um, well, listen, thank you so much for the time and this. I can't wait to launch this. This is going to be great. Thank you again.
Oh, you're so
And
welcome.
I can't wait to keep seeing you grow, you and your office and your team. All right, have a
For
great
sure.
day.
Thanks so much, Nick. You too. Talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
That's a wrap. I hope you like this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow so you don't miss any of the other episodes coming up. Until then, I'll see you next time.